Happy Thirsty Thursday. Welcome in another edition here of Dangle Bet Celly, presented by PointsBet. Chris Meaney and the Eric Young. He is fired up today. We have, no surprise, a massive 14-game slate in the NHL. 2 games last night, 1 game tomorrow, 1 game on Sunday. Doesn't matter. It's tough to kind of navigate through your fantasy hockey playoffs. You got to make tough decisions. It's like Sunday football, start or sit. You got to make some tough decisions. Some good players that are not going to get in your lineup today.
Barely any of my guys have played. I'm getting worked, but like over the next couple of days, like everybody plays, and like today, it's just like I've got to sit guys that are starting and playing in the power play. It's very difficult.
It is very difficult. Tough decisions to make. We're here for you guys to help make things easier. We'll try to anyways. If you have any questions, at the Eric Young, at Chris Meaney, you can always reach out meanstreetsftn@gmail.com. You can slide in the DMs. You can head on over to the YouTube page, ask a question here live with us like people are currently right now. Or if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, you can hop on over, subscribe to our YouTube page, and ask the question in the comment section, and I will address them. Always circling back on these videos. We love hockey so much that we encourage the questions. I love getting them, I love trying to help out as well. If you guys have any,
the coolest part is there's so many sharp people in here every time we do a show.
A ton,
right?
Absolutely.
Like it's just it's cheesy, but we've said it iron sharpens iron, and it's cool. I'll say, I noticed Clinton here. Like, look, Clint, if you want to be on the Preds bandwagon, you can't be cheering for the Yotes. You backed out of that. These are the rules. These are the rules, man. Your team's going nowhere. I told you there's room on the train, but you can't just decide to cheer for the Yotes tonight. I mean, we're going for history here. These guys come back against Vegas, the Stanley Cup champs the other night. Forsberg fights. He kind of gets beat up a little bit the night before, but scores in overtime. Like, dude, this team is a literal wagon. I mean, you hear it all the time in hockey, but they're doing everything right at the exact right time of year. Both goalies are unbelievable. Nobody wants to play these guys. Nobody.
No. I know. I said, like, one of my friends said the other day, like, they're peaking too early and they're just going to get bounced early. And it's like one thing to say that, but they also needed to peak to get in because they weren't like comfortably in a playoff spot. So they needed to go on a run like this
run to make it doable.
Yeah. And you know, at this time of the year, there's something to be said about teams that are playing must-win hockey down the stretch to get into the playoffs. Look at the Florida Panthers last season. You get hot at the right time, maybe you can go on a little bit of a run. So, yeah, what they're doing is phenomenal. The Gustav Nyquist train keeps on rolling on, and we're going to talk about him in just a little bit. So, yeah, any questions, hit us up, guys. You know, with 1 game tomorrow, I believe it's New Jersey and Buffalo. Like JJ Peterka was a hot pickup in the waiver wire article. He scored again last night. He's got the game on Friday. Plan ahead. If there's somebody that's not going to get in your lineup tonight or get in your lineup on Saturday, you have Sunday's game with the Ducks and the Vancouver Canucks. I jumped on the NHL Fantasy on Ice podcast this morning with Nick Alberga and Pete Jensen. We talked a lot about that strategy, and you may not want any Ducks. I get it. But to have some players on that Sunday game is beneficial, especially if your opponent doesn't have any. So in Vancouver, like Connor Garland for the Ducks, Zegras back. We could see Mason McTavish is hanging around waiver wires, potentially Troy Terry. So scoop some players up, try to get the best of your opponents. We're going to get after 14 games. I want to say what up to the crew. As we said, super sharp in here, and that's what we do. We take care of the family. Evan missed live on Tuesday because of work, but I'm glad to be here today. Lots of action, a ton of action. Tuesday I thought went pretty well. Besides the Avs let us down. Those scrappy Habs, man, they just find ways to hang around games. But, man, we were all over Dallas and some of these point props, and the article is through 4. And check out the article today for free over at ftnbets.com. Again, Nyquist, right? We'll start there. We'll say what up to the crew here, and I'd probably just start with Nashville, more on them. Good morning, y'all. Like Dallas. Dallas put the bet in last night at -108. Not sure the live price right now, but I'm all about this team, and you guys know that. And I really like them tonight against Vancouver. Okay, we have Die Hard MMA podcast in the house. Talks Who's going to derail the Preds right now? The cup-winning Knights?
Man.
Nah, it's the Yotes.
Come on.
Bring it, EY. Schmancy's in the house. Welcome in. Good morning. Veronikov over 1.5. Troy's got his Blue Jackets shot props here. We like that. Orensky. And then we have a follow-up. I'm actually serious. Huge comeback against Vegas. The Yotes always play the Preds. It's tough, but I think the Preds
They
are
do.
a big letdown spot. Why isn't this price up over minus 200 tonight? A lot of people seemed, I say a lot of people, but again, the NHL Fantasy on Ice crew seem to like the Yotes here. But I mean, I'm just going to ride with the Preds personally. And we do have Jay in here. Question: the Hurricanes finally lost a game with Gensel. Are our cup dreams over?
Not yet, man.
I know he's joking. Jay's a big Hurricanes guy, and I feel like over the past couple of years, he's definitely been let down. He's been maybe disappointed with the lack of moves at the deadline. But Jay, something that you and I have talked about
this year,
and Eric and I have talked about on this show is that there's certainly reasons to be excited about the Hurricanes and the aggressiveness of the deadline, and they're going to be a very, very tough out. We'll see who they play. Probably going to get the Flyers first round, maybe Capitals, or they go up in that first spot, get the Capitals and another random wild card squad in there as well. So I like their chances to make some noise and to go on a deep run here. Good morning, Means, EY, everybody in the house. Nyquist, Forsberg, yes, the Swedish meatball parlay. Brazis, welcome in. Mikey Boy G, welcome in, and Robbie Hockey, welcome in. I've got Nyquist teed up on the show that I'm going to be on later. Glad you see y'all on it as well. Finally pushing the chips in. Doan, how about that? Really cool story, actually.
Yeah, really cool.
Shane Doan's son scored 2 goals in his debut. Just really cool on so many levels, of course, to have that success in your first game and have your family there, but also having your dad, part of the organization, the face of the franchise for years. Yeah. Legend, absolute legend. This really cool. Like, I got chills when I saw his reaction. Like, you could see the tears in his eyes. Tarps are off in the press box. Everybody's having a good time. Really cool to see. That was a fantastic story there. Absolutely love it. Okay, so let's get after it. 14 games here tonight in the NHL. And we'll just start with the Preds since we've chatted a little bit about them already. This is no breaking news. The team that's rolling right now in UC Saros is 12-0-2 in his last 14 games. They got points in 18 straight here.
Yeah, is that good? Is that good? I don't know.
Pretty good. And you know what? I'm gonna lie. Pretty effing surprising, right? It is.
Sure.
Like, this is surprising. I know you've talked them up, and certain players in the team like Novak and guys that, haven't gotten the credit or the love. Even Nyquist is a guy that hasn't. We've talked about him all year. Nobody wants him in fantasy hockey. Nobody cares about him in the betting market, but he just keeps churning out points. As a broken record for me, he had 3 or 4 points in his first 10 games as a Pred. Jumped up on that top line. He's been a point per game player ever since. Go look at the last 62 games. He's got 60 points. A point per game guy. Owned in fewer than 50% of leagues. Been on the first power play for what? How long? 3 months? Been on the first line with Forsberg and O'Reilly for 3 months. And again tonight.
The line's been epic all year. Yeah, even when they were bad, that line was still getting stuff done.
Producing. And now we're seeing contributions from other guys up and down the lineup. We're getting the good goaltending. So tonight, against Arizona, I agree with Clint. Like, the line does feel a little fishy. I think people are just thinking at some point this team is going to lose a hockey game.
Sure.
And, down 3 goals in the third, but coming back and your boy Yossi, who you gave a lot of love to, for Norris getting it done there in overtime. Minus 166 on the money line, and Arizona plus 145. I already bet Nashville. I bet him last night. Going to continue to ride this thing out. Minus 166 current line, best I'm seeing at FanDuel. There are some other books, Clint, like minus 177, minus 178. So it's not like fishy everywhere. But the 166 is pretty good for a team that is just, man, they're all cylinders. And let's be honest with the Coyotes. They can hang. They've had a decent season, but they've been one of the worst teams over the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah, I get, like, everyone's going, oh, letdown game and trap game and this, that, and the other. Like, look, they just came back and beat the Stanley Cup champions. I mean, Vegas
who always end streaks, by the way. And I thought we were going to talk about that today because they end the Oilers streak, and I thought that they were going to do the same thing to the Preds.
And I thought that was going to happen too. I was watching the game. I was almost ready to go to bed. I was so mad, and then next thing you know, it's 4-1 and it's 4-2, and here they come, and they're controlling play. They're wearing them down, rolling forward lines. Like, it's wild to see Andrew Burnett. He starts Cole Smith, Kiefer Sherwood, and McCarron every game. There's people on listening right now that have no idea who those players are. And it's wild. Like, they start every game, and they're great, and they're effective at what they do. I'm not comparing myself to an NHL player, but I was in a pretty miserable mood yesterday. I had a bit of a day. Played hockey last night, me and the boys, 7-2, got into the playoffs, and I'm on cloud 9. And that's what this team feels like. They're down because they have to go play in a high school gymnasium, but they're not going to lose to the Coyotes. I'm telling you now, you can bet any amount of money on it you want. They're Coyotes have nothing to play for, and the Preds are firing on all cylinders. They're going to win this game. On the Nashville side, Forsberg 115, Evangelista at 390. I love that. This kid jumps off the screen every game. He hit, I think, 3 posts in the Vegas game. He's going to score tonight. On the Arizona side, Keller, stud player, has been for years. We've loved him on the show. I have nothing against Arizona. I want them to be good. I got a ton of young players that I think are really good. They're just not good right now, and they have nothing to play for. The Preds are setting records, franchise records, and are making history, and they want to continue to do that. So I got Keller and I got Gunther at 270.
I'm surprised you don't have Jason Zucker, a little revenge game there for the old boy. He's got a couple goals in the last few.
And he's looked really good.
I was looking actually at his shot prop, and there's so many spots today, of course, with 14 games. But believe it or not, I actually don't have a lot of action. Maybe it's MLB opening day, or just the fact that there's just so many games. It's really hard to wrap your head around all of it. But if you're looking for some sort of long shot prop tonight, Jason Zucker is plus 124 over at DraftKings for 3 shots. His last, what do we got here? The last 8 games, he's cleared in 6 of them. 3-1, 3-3, 5-3-3, and 1 in his last game. He's not getting a ton of ice time. He lives in the 12 to 14 minute range. But he is getting a little bit of power play time, I do believe, on the second unit. I think I saw him on the second unit over the past couple of games. The revenge thing's always fun, but the matchup is good. And the fact that we do have a little bit of a track record here, even in the 3 games he played before he missed a couple, he had 8 shots in those 3 games. So he is cleared here in 6, 7, 8 of his last 11 games. Pretty good. And you can get a guy at plus 125. Yeah, Robbie seems to be on it. At least him to hit the score sheet at plus 145 for a point there tonight. I was laughing at the comments here. How hard did they party last night after that game? Evan, not hard at all. Rudette probably canceled the party. And we talked about this the other day on the cancellation of the Sphere. And I don't know if you caught it when the Preds were on TNT, I think maybe a week and a half ago, and they were talking to Ryan McDonough, who's a veteran presence, of course. He's had a lot of playoff runs. And he talked about that.
So good.
Yeah, he talked about that, and he talked about the vibe in the room and how they really just came together after that moment and took themselves a lot more serious. And I know he's running the locker room there and some of the tunes. So make that a shout out here on this show. I'll never get over the Habs trading McDonough for Scott Gomez. Okay. Preds for a point, minus 135. How could you not get involved with Forsberg too? The shot prop is juiced at minus 160, but something into a parlay. And then long shot play for me. One of the long shot plays of the slate and in this game would be Jason Zucker for 3 shots on goal against his former team. Yossi, again, Yossi's minus 125 for an assist. I think it's fine. Yeah, MVP. I really don't want the Coyotes to leave Arizona. I would like to.
I
They
don't
talked
either.
about this last night, and Gretzky was talking about how he hopes that they can figure it out, and I would like to see them stay too, honestly. But they do need to figure out the arena situation, and they need to do that in a hurry. But there's a lot of reasons. If you are a diehard like Clint, the Coyotes, and I know that the fan base, they don't get a lot. I mean, they're just a couple years removed from having like whiteouts and having crazy playoff runs, and
Yep.
when they were making runs in the mid to early 2000s, I remember a couple playoff matchups with Minnesota. Like the barn was packed, man, and like it just seemed like an electric atmosphere. And they have so many picks coming up, so many draft picks, and they have a lot of nice young players coming up as well. Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley deserve a shout out. We got the 360 goal there for plus 360 for Roman Josi. Keller is scoring tonight. He does seem to score every other night. But this back and forth was great. And then you said you guaranteed you would put any amount of money on the Preds. And then Clint surprised us all and said you could bet any amount of money on it. You want the Blue Jackets to lose today, not to win, to lose today. We're going to get going. We'll keep things going here. Where do you want to go next, sir?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get some of these early games. Washington, Toronto. Could be
all right.
interesting.
Washington.
OV.
Yeah, the last time they played, what did they combine for? 5 goals? I think close to it. I don't know if Matthews ended up with the hat trick. I believe he did end up with the hat trick. And then we had Ovechkin with a couple goals there as well. So go ahead, take it away. You riding those two?
Yeah, a Washington side, obviously OV plus 125. It's cool to see him scoring again. Everything seems right when he's shooting from from the circle and just ripping it past. When they played last time, they played Justin Wall, and Wall was like the 380th goalie he scored on in his NHL career or something insane like that. I mean, just an absolute stud. I love Ovechkin, 125. And Dylan Strome at 210. He's having a great year, great player. Going over there. I play hockey with a kid from DC, Ethan, and a huge Caps fan. We were talking about Dylan Strome and how good he's been for them all year. So I believe he could score tonight. On the Toronto side, Matthews, negative 150. That stinks, but I don't care. I'm still betting on him to score. And Nylander at 125.
I was looking at Nylander's shot prop. They both the game against the Devils, they both popped off. I think Matthews had like 8 or 9 shots, and Nylander had 7 or something. They were all shooting the puck. Tavares is shooting the puck as well. I don't mind Nylander here at minus 125 for 4 shots. That's at Bet Rivers. I would rather take that one than the Austin Matthews just asking for 5. I mean, that one's plus money. But one guy that did have a great game against the Capitals when these two teams played a couple weeks ago and has been pretty good filling in on the top line, and Mitch Marner won't play again, is Max Domi. Max Domi's been plus money for a point for the past few games. Tonight he's minus 120 for a point. He did the 4 helpers in the 7-3 win against the Capitals, but you look at the last few games, and this guy's been pretty productive. He's got a quiet 33 helpers on the season. He's got 6 assists in his last 4 games. He's got 3, 7, 8, 9 points over his last 8 games, so pretty productive. Of course, a big boost in ice time, and playing with a guy like Austin Matthews, you're going to fall into a couple points. I like the Leafs tonight. The line is a little juicy. I don't mind taking them here in 60 at minus 115. I don't think that they'll smash the Capitals again. And I know Washington is finding ways to win hockey games thanks to Charlie Lindgren, and Ovechkin's been on a heater over the last 24 games or so. Almost a goal per game pace for the guy over the last 6 weeks. But I do like Toronto here tonight. I think they'll bounce back after what I thought was a tough loss to the Devils. So a win for them at Domi point, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to go here next, and let's talk about the team that made us a few bucks in Tuesday's show against San Jose. So it could have been a little bit better, but what we talked about with Dallas or the top line, all for a point, Rupe Hintz and Jason Robertson and Joe Pavelski, which worked out. We talked about Wyatt Johnson for 3 shots and for a point, and Jamie Benn for a point. Man, I know it was the Sharks, but if anybody's watched Jamie Benn lately, and I know Seguin didn't play in that game because it was just like a maintenance day for him, Jamie Benn and Seguin look like Jamie Benn and Seguin from 5 years ago when they only had Benn and Seguin. Now these guys are on like line 2 and line 3. This team has just so much depth. I can't ignore what Ben and Wyatt Johnson, the chemistry, beautiful plays. Like Wyatt Johnson had the beautiful shorthanded goal where he just undressed Blackwood. And then later there was this play through the neutral zone where you can just see the chemistry between them. There was a pass up to Ben in the neutral zone, and it was a quick 1-2 punch. Actually, it was to Wyatt Johnson, and then Wyatt Johnson to Ben, and then Wyatt Johnson was skating, breaking towards the net into the zone for San Jose. And Jamie Benn, just a no-look, beautiful backhand pass in stride to Wyatt Johnson, and he just undressed. I know you had him on your DraftKings lineup, so you were watching that one. We were back and forth.
That was the big one for me, man. I mean, I cashed pretty big in DFS. So.
You had the Preds and you had that line. I mean, you just missed Stan Coven to set records probably for you. And he had a couple really nice chances. Jamie Benn had a great goal. It's opening day in baseball. His hand-eye coordination was on full display. He batted it out of the air, a pass from behind the net. These two are just feeling it. Ben has got goals in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight. He's got points in 7 straight. He's got points in 11 of his past 12 games. He's just playing on another level right now. And Wyatt Johnson, to me, is one of the best young players in the NHL. You saw it last year as a rookie in the playoffs. He was the guy that was leading the team in expected goals at 5-5, even though Hintz was balling out. He's having a great sophomore campaign, especially here in the second half. So Jamie Benn is plus 100 for a point. Wyatt Johnson is minus 105 for a point. Casey DeSmith's been playing well. Demko's on. He's been, hurt. He hasn't. I think Casey DeSmith's played like 6 or 7 games in a row for Vancouver, at least 6 of 8, 6 of 7, and he's been good. But I don't care. Dallas is. I like the Stars to win. I'm going to Wyatt Johnson and I'm going to Ben. Just like those two guys so much. What you got for this game?
Yeah, I love that. Robertson is starting to heat up again too. Scoring and shooting. So I got him at plus 210. So I love that. And we're in lockstep in Jamie Benn. He looks unbelievable to score at plus 290. Look, he's playing in front of the net on that power play with guys that love to shoot the puck. He's playing there and playing in the middle bumper position. He's been so good all year. And right now it's like this veteran guy can feel that the playoffs are coming and it's time to drop the hammer and hit it into 6th gear. And it's really cool to see as a player that I've always loved.
Yeah.
He's ruthless, which I like.
Oh, is he ever?
He's ruthless and sometimes can cross the line, but I like players like that. Like, look, it's still full contact and it's a dangerous game. And I don't care. I like when players play like that. It makes hockey. So I love that. Robertson and Ben to score. Vancouver side, I'm going to Les Pettersson and JT Miller.
Yeah, I think Connor Garland is still interesting to me. Just we'll see how the lines shape up. Maybe they'll switch things.
It's cool to see him come around. I loved him in Arizona. And I thought he's been one of your favorite signing by them. So I love that this is happening for him. I've got a Garland jersey in the closet, boys.
I know you do. Like you're a big Garland guy. I remember you talking. I mean, it's a cool story. He's a small player who doesn't shy away from anything and is always kind of going full tilt. He's got a nice shot. I know he demanded a trade at the start of the season. Good for the Canucks to say, nah, listen, we're going to work this thing out with you. We acquired you for a reason. I'm not seeing a point prop on him. I did bet him on Monday and it didn't work out, but man, he had some chances again with Niels Höglander and Elias Pettersson. But good call on Robertson. We did have some fun with the same game parlays. They all didn't work out. We did get the top line. We were like a couple St. Coven points away from 100 to 1. I did selfishly. I didn't put it in the tracker because this is just too much. But I had Wyatt Johnson and Jamie Benn, or Wyatt Johnson and Jason Robertson to each score 2 goals, and that was 100 to 1. I think both of those guys are so hot right now that like is a little sprinkle on a multi-goal thing. You called the Robertson goal. I like Wyatt Johnson. We just could see a couple more like carry over because I like the shot props for Wyatt for 3 minus 120 and for Robertson minus 130. And it was enough there, but we like Dallas here. And Vancouver just hasn't been the same team over the past little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here? I'll stick with Carlson and Strome parlay king bog in the house here. Do like it. Matthews game time decision. That's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I would hold off on the Domi point. Wouldn't like him as much without Austin Matthews, but I think William Nylander right now, regardless of if Matthews plays, is a good pick. And if Matthews is ruled out and he doesn't play for whatever reason, that number will rise. Him and Tavares will become the shooters, which they already are anyways, but stars by murder. Okay, let's continue. You're up next. Where to?
Let's do
so many games, my goodness.
Columbus and Pittsburgh.
Okay. For Troy. All right, big Pittsburgh win. They surprised me the other day against Carolina. Again, they've been playing good at 5-5. Just haven't had the
Crosby just won't. He's insane, right? Like he doesn't trade away my best player.
Yeah,
we're terrible. It just doesn't matter. He just wants to win every hockey game that he's in, and it's awesome.
So many reports out there too that Dubas was like considering trading him, and the way that he answered the question after the deadline about Gensel and management, and he said, like, that's not a question for me. He looked pissed. I wonder if he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, but I wonder. Yeah. I just wonder if next year's his last year. Anyways, as for tonight, I think there's pretty good value on him for a 2-point night at plus 160 against the Blue Jackets, just considering the run he's on. You got him to score?
I got Crosby to score at 115 and Michael Bunting still playing on the top power play, and he's looked good since going over to Pittsburgh. He was invisible in Carolina, like invisible. And I've really noticed it when I've watched anything that Pittsburgh's done. So I like him at plus 200, plus playing on that top power play. Like Gensel's gone. He would always be my guy to score, but now it's going to be Crosby and Bunting. Columbus, I'm going Jenner. Just a great player. I think Troy asked earlier, I think it was Troy was asking about a thing on his fantasy lineup in a bangers league. I would go Jenner, Keller, and Buchnevich out of those guys that you put up. I wrote that down quick when we were sitting here. I'm going Jenner, and I'm going back to Marashenko. He's still playing the point in the shooting spot from the top on that power play. And I like this player. And like he needs to get his confidence back for sure. He's not what he was doing earlier in the year, but I'm going Jenner and Marashenko to score.
Yeah. Crosby at plus 105 for 4 shots is something that I like. They are controlling the pace of play. I know the Blue Jackets went through a little bit of something when they were also like just generating a lot of shots, but the Penguins over the last 2 months at 5-5 have been inside the top 10 in attempts and shots. Like again, it's just every night this team does generate a ton of attempts, but the puck luck just hasn't been there for them. So Crosby for 4, Crosby 2-point night. These little sprinkles, I maybe just put half a unit on the 2-point night at plus 160, but I do like him to have 4 shots at plus 105. And I like Erik Karlsson as well. DraftKings at minus 135 for 3 shots. Erik Karlsson does lead Pittsburgh in shots over the last 2 weeks. He only had 1 against Carolina, tough spot. But before that, 5-3, 5-4, and 3. I playing like 24, 25, 25, 26, 56, just living on the ice. Drew Connor is actually second on the team in shots, but I don't think you'll find a shot prop for him anywhere. But 4-3, 1-3, 4-2, and 4. And he's been playing a little bit with Sid. I agree with you here. I mean, especially in a bangers league, Jenner the other night had 8 or 9 hits, I think, in the game against the Blue Jacket or against the Golden Knights. So if you're lacking hits, I would also just take a look at your opponent and see, kind of project what's going on with them. But if you're lacking some hits, I'd say Jenner needs to get in your lineup, and you're not sitting Keller there. All right. We got Troy says Werenski and Crosby 2.5 each, over 2.5 plus 103 at FanDuel. Pens usually win these games. Penguins versus Jackets, pass on this one, he says. Okay. I like this. Crosby, Russ, 1 and 2-point parlays tonight. I dig it. All right. Next. EY. It's on your sheet.
Philly and Montreal.
Oh, baby. 2 of the scrappiest teams in the league.
Yep.
Might be. Okay, go ahead. Take it away. I actually don't have
I mean,
this one, but I have a couple
Philly's still right in the mix, right? Like it's.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild, and it's cool, and the Couturier thing is crazy. And I mean, I don't Tortorella. I mean, hockey is much more interesting when John Tortorella is involved. It's just his good, bad, or indifferent, whatever you think about him. It's just more interesting, and you got to respect the job that he's done. Nobody thought Pittsburgh or Philly would be in this position, and here they are. Travis Konechny has been so good all year. He's a great player, plus 135. And I'm going back to Joel Farabee again, still playing on that top power play. Getting shots, just hasn't got the puck to go, but could happen tonight. Montreal side, I'm going Caulfield at 155. And I'm going back to Alex Newhook, centering the second line and playing on the top power play still. He's plus 330. That's what I like the most about it. And I don't, I know Suzuki, it's a one-line team, but picking those guys to score all on one line, I don't like doing that. So I'm gonna go Newhook here.
Fair. Slavkovsky's got another point streak going on, 7. He's quietly just I've been extremely impressed with his game, man. It's very, very encouraging if you're a Habs fan. After last year didn't look great, and the first month of the season did not look good, but he's not afraid to throw his body around to mix it up. And the offensive upside is definitely there for him, man. And you got to think, like, coming over to North American hockey,
so
like
good.
He's going to be good. He's a child, and the adjustment to the play in North America, to hockey in general, right? Yeah, really good season from him. 7 games in a row with a point. He played 21-57 the other night against the Avs, and I thought he was phenomenal in that game. And he is still a really good value in the betting market, minus 105 over at DraftKings for him to pick up a point. He's also minus 118 for 2 shots tonight at Bet Rivers. I would like to see Matheson pass it to him more on the power play, because the attention is always on. I've said this a couple times to you. All the attention's on Caulfield. Matheson, take a peek, bud. Slavkovsky's over at the top of the circle, nonstop, wide open, and the guy's got a shot. Every time I would watch the Habs power play, it's like, it kind of bothers me. Like, give it over to Slavkovsky. Let's go here. And on the other side, Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett tonight for 4 shots. Yeah. I like that spot, and he's minus 140 for a point, which is a little steep. I expect the Habs to be a little sloppy here tonight. I know we talked a lot about them hanging around, but they just went on a pretty tough road trip back home tonight against a Flyers team fighting for a playoff spot they've been competitive all year long. So I would expect Philly to take it to them maybe a little early in this game. But Tippett, 4 shots, Tippett point, Caulfield, 4 shots, Slavkovsky point, and we will move on. Want to see the Flyers lines, but Morgan Frost point is sneaky good bet if he's still with Konechny, Tippett. Yeah, it's really tough to keep an eye on their lines. Like, you have to really look closer to puck drop to get involved with any kind of point parlays or things like that. I don't like betting against Philly. I don't blame you. The 2 teams that you probably, the Habs, we talked about it. They're like the kings of covering the reverse puck line all year long, and they crushed us with that W in Colorado the other night. Just crushed us. All right, next.
Islanders, Florida.
What you like about this one?
One team striving.
Yeah. What do you got?
Islanders. Islanders. I'm going Brock Nelson, 190. Had a crush on this guy for a long time, and it continues. Bo Horvat at plus 230. Florida side, Reinhart to continue scoring. Awesome to see him hit the 50 mark. This is a player me and you've been talking about for, I feel like, half a decade. Like, talking about him when he was in Buffalo and that brutal Buffalo team. And like, they were rotten. But you could just see the player that he could be if he was on a team playing with good players. Well, you're seeing it. And he just scored 50 goals, and he's going to get paid, and it's awesome. And I love to see it. And I'm going to go Matthew Tkachuk at 175.
Yeah, I like those calls. I actually don't have anything in this game. The 2 leans that I would have would be, I know Sam Bennett's been a little quiet lately, but Sam Bennett, I think just you see second lines really have some success against the New York Islanders. And then I would say Brennan Montour would be the other one. I know we give a little bit of love to Montour in the last episode, but minus 125 I would lean Montour over Bennett, but it's hard for me to ignore a player that plays like half the game.
Right.
26 minutes the other night, 27-25. He's just living on the ice. He's cleared 2.5 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 7. One game he was stuck on 2. So I do like Bennett, or I like Bennett, but I like Brennan Montour just a touch higher there. I think the Panthers take care of the Islanders tonight. What you got? You go to Chicago. We'll do Chicago and Buffalo, or Chicago and let's get rid of that one. Let you take it away.
Yeah, I mean, two teams literally playing for nothing. That doesn't mean that they're not going to go for it.
Especially Ottawa, I think that they're playing a little bit better lately. Korpisalo especially.
Korpisalo is starting to round out. I mean, too late. This is, maybe one of my worst calls in my life of hockey is thinking that they're going to be good. I still think that they should be.
You weren't alone.
No, I just thought they would take a massive step this year, and the truth is they took a massive step the wrong way. So Chicago, Bedard 65, 370. Who knows? It's Jason Dickinson is an awesome player. He's playing on the fourth line for some reason. Who the hell knows what's going on in Chicago? Ottawa, I'm going Brady Tkachuk and Timmy Stützle, 190. He's starting to get hot. Shane Pinto too. I want to mention that too. He's been pretty good.
He has
gambling suspension.
Yeah, he's got 8 goals and 17 assists in 30 games. It's not too bad, man. I don't think he's like a 70-point player, but ever since Josh Norris, like it kind of, when Norris got hurt, Pinto basically joined the lineup close to around that time. So he's been taking on that top 6 role. I picked up Pinto last night in a shallow league, like 2 minutes before puck drop. So I was thrilled for the 4-point night. And I think we should go back to him. I mean, why not? This is the Blackhawks, right? Ottawa has won 3 straight games. They've scored 16 goals in those 3 games. A little too late for sure. They play to a lot of overs. 6-2, 5-3, 5-2, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, 4-3. Like that's a span of 7 games in a row to the over. Can the Hawks do their part to get to this over? I think we could see some goals. It could be a sneaky little fantasy game. So Pinto is minus 120 for a point. Last night, the top line 40-1 for 2 points, and they hit. Brady Tkachuk, Drake Batherson, and Shane Pinto. I would consider it again tonight. I know you're on Stützle. I was on Stützle last night too. I thought that he would have a much better game. But tonight, like maybe you just do the 1 point. Batherson, Pinto, and Stützle. Or sorry, forget Stützle. Brady Tkachuk, Drake Batherson, Shane Pinto plus 240 tonight for a point. I think is pretty good value against this Hawks team. And then for the 2 point again, it's not 40-1, but it's 30-1. I do like all of those guys individually to pick up points. Batherson's a little bit juiced, but Pinto is at a really good price there. And one more player, because I'm looking at the last 2 weeks in shots. Kachuk's got 42, and he's just a freak. But Jacob Chikrin, he's kind of looking like the usage rate has looked a little bit like his Arizona days. It's been hard to really attack his props because when all the guys are in the lineup like Chabot and Sanderson, it's just you never really know, not top power play time. Thomas Chabot is not going to play tonight due to a lower body injury. He's listed as day-to-day over at Yahoo, but I don't believe he's going to play. Maybe confirm that, but I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, he's not going to suit up tonight. So Jacob Chikrin's one of those guys that you can put into a shot prop parlay with Forsberg. I think it's actually one of the better ones tonight. I think Forsberg's going to get his 4 shots, especially if Arizona is up in this game. Like they're going to press to extend this, and you could get double shifts and things like that. But he's minus 165 over at BetMGM. Chikrin. So Chikrin and Philip Forsberg, decent little 2-leg there. What's next?
Let's do Detroit, Carolina. Detroit playing for their playoff lives here.
This is a big one, man. They can't afford any more losses, that's for sure. Detroit checking in as big dogs against the Carolina Hurricanes. We got Carolina here at minus 255, the best number I'm seeing if you want to back them over FanDuel, and Detroit at plus 220. got to expect a bounce back performance here from Aho and Gensel. You got Gensel on the card?
I actually, I have Aho and Gensel. I know they're playing on the same line, and I don't typically do that, but I believe that's what's going to happen. Aho is going to pour it on tonight, plus 140, and Gensel at plus 140. Detroit, Larkin at plus 250. I don't get that. I mean, he's so good. I know I said it the other day. I think he's a top 10 player. I'm not backing off of that. Dylan Larkin at 250 and Kane at 220. I want Detroit to win this game. I want Detroit in the playoffs.
You want them in the playoffs, eh?
I do. Look, I hated them for the majority of my life. Like, me and my wife were talking about it the other day. Her aunt, because she knew I was into hockey, she gave me this old leather Detroit Red Wings jacket for Christmas, and I refused to take it because I'm insane.
Because you hated them so much.
I hated them so much. I just hated them. And I'm over it. I want there to be playoff games in that beautiful arena. I want the people in Detroit. I mean, obviously seeing what the Lions did and how that city supported that team. If the Wings make it in the playoffs, it will be madness. It'll be madness. And I got tons of family and friends there that are huge Detroit fans. I want them in. I want Patrick Kane in the playoffs. I want Dylan Larkin to play important games. I want Moritz Seider to cut his hair.
That's jokes. I mean, it would just be them or Washington. I would rather see Ovechkin, even though I feel like Detroit has a better chance.
I'm tired of Washington.
Fair.
Tired of it.
I think Detroit would have a better chance of an upset than Washington, even though the Capitals they continue to surprise us. But for a team that is minus 26 in goal differential, it's absurd to even think of them as a playoff squad. I mean, Detroit is plus 5, New Jersey's -6, Islanders are -27, but everybody else in the play, the Hurricanes are plus 49, the Panthers are plus 57 goal differential, and you got Washington here minus 26. Anyways, Carolina's top line, Aho, Gensel, and Jarvis plus 145 for a point. What I've noticed from Detroit's game over the past 2 months is pretty sloppy. I know Larkin back has helped them out a bit, but I think that top line should be able to generate some scoring chances tonight. And then if you want a little bit of there's just good value here on Kane and DeBrincat at plus 175, but it is Carolina and it is a tough matchup to ask for goals, but I think it's possible. What else we got here in the chat? On the same page with Shemansky here, we got Chikrin, very juicy, but one of my favorite shot props tonight. No Shabbat, so there's a little bit of confirmation there for us. Batherson, very juice for a point, but going back to, yes, we seem to be on the same page. Yeah, the 40-1 hit last night, get it at a 30-1. We had Batherson and for a point last night at good odds, I think minus 120-ish, but I believe minus 166. Shane Pinto is from Long Island. So is Sonny Milano and Kyle Palmieri. My cousin used to date Sonny Milano. Just getting all kinds of great information here from Troy. I'm going to bet Gensel most shots on goal in the game today, no matter the price on FanDuel. Dig it. Love it. And like the Long Island stuff too. Good stuff there. Okay. Golden Knights in Winnipeg. Should be another, just be a good one. Good one here. Who stood out to you the other night for Vegas watching them against your Preds?
Barbashev looked good. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had, the stats to back it up, but he's just a horse out there, dude. He's just such a big dude and can skate and was disrupting things. Obviously, their defense, it's they're just humongous. It's wild. You see Novak and Evangelista, who are both little guys and slight, and they get down along the boards and you're like, please don't die. It's terrifying. They're such a good team, and they still going to get Hurdle and probably Mark Stone. I'm not going to swear, but I know we can swear, but I'm trying not to do that as much because I'm a savage. But man, Vegas it's ridiculous. Even, who knows what's going to happen with Aiden Hill? That could be a real that's going to happen, right? That could be a backbreaker. They
They
need
need
him.
him. And there's no disrespect to Logan Thompson, but they need Aiden
Yeah.
Hill. And I know he may not
For
be able
one
to
period,
repeat the
that
performance he
kid,
had
that
last year.
Patera or whatever, the
Played
kid that
pretty good.
played. I mean, for the first period, he looked like the best goalie on earth. Like it was.
Yeah.
He made some saves, and I was just like, oh, of course, this is how it ends. Some
Yeah.
kid that had barely played, third
And had
string
been
goalie,
awful in all of his games.
and he'd been awful. Like I was like, oh man, they're gonna score on the first shot, and he was unbelievable in the first period, and then he kind of fell apart. But yeah, I'm at Vegas. I'm going Eichel. Love him. I mean, just his skating style. He's just he does everything well. He's such a good player. It's awesome to see him in full flight. Good team, right? Like all these good players getting out of Buffalo when they were terrible is exciting. And I'm going Stevenson at 420. Has been playing really well again. Just a player I just can't seem to quit. Winnipeg, of course, Kyle Connor 165. And I'm going to go Monahan at 310.
Nice. That line's we trashed the Jets there on Tuesday's show and the makeup of their lines, and then after we were done the show,
man. Right? They're just in trouble.
After we were done the show, they did switch it up. I'm like, okay, like how long could you leave like Nemestikov on line 1 and Appleton on line 2 or whatever?
Good player, but come on, man.
Yeah, and I get it. You're trying to get out of a funk or mix it up, but you're not going to roll those guys out in the playoffs. Like that's not how it's going to be, right? Like
Appleton's a great player, but he doesn't have the offensive IQ to play with those guys.
You can't play with Connor and Scheifele and expect to work out. So I expect Velarde with those guys when he does return, and then Toffoli, Monahan, and Ehlers back together, and then Appleton, with Lowry and Niederreiter. It's something that's worked out for them all year long. So it was just a little bit of a couple of games like that. I like Eichel for 4 shots. I mean, this guy's getting 7 or 8 attempts a night. Like that's it. He's always shooting the puck constantly. Didn't. I think he hit a couple bars the other night in the matchup against the Blues where he had 3. But the last few games, 7-3, 8, 7-3, 8, 5-4, 3, 6-5. Like this guy is shooting the puck a ton.
And he should.
And he should, absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like he doesn't try out there. He's like so effortless. When he takes the puck, he just doesn't really move his legs because he protects it so well and his hands are so nice. He's really fun to watch. You and I watched him live in Nashville that one time, and I was absolutely blown away with how great he
scored that overtime goal, remember?
He did.
And like he got the puck in overtime and started like coming down the wing. I was like, oh no.
I know. And then I saw him in the hotel elevator like in Nashville, and I was like, man, what a show. And he just didn't even like really respond to me. Yeah. He's just a little smirk. He's just all business and out the door. And then I'm like, oh, Rick Jenner. Hey, what's going on, man? La Fontaine. And he had all kinds of stories for me. But yeah, Eichel for 4 shots. I like Marchessault. They're back together, minus 135 for a point. I know it's the Jets, so it could be a low scoring affair here tonight. It's a little risky at times to go against Connor Hellebuck, but there's 2 guys in particular. I mean, I like Marchessault, the fact that he is back with Eichel, right? Points in 4 of his last 5. And then Shea Theodore. Shea Theodore he's been
what a player.
There's 1, 2, 3 games since he's returned to the lineup where he hasn't picked up a point. Bear with me here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of his last 17 games, point. Most of them are assists. He did score against Nashville, but he's minus 105 for a point on that first power play, picking up points. You're right. What a player. Really good skater. And I don't really have anything from the Jets side of things. I think I'll do some parlays with Scheifele and Connor together as 1, and then maybe a little stab on Monahan, Toffoli, and Ehlers in there. But I don't have a ton on the Jets side. I would say Connor. I'm with you on Connor. Like he's always a good bet, score goal. Okay. Continuing right along, the biggest lopsided affair of the night is in Minnesota as the Wild take on the Sharks. I put in last night, actually this morning, I think early this morning. I mean, I'm on the Wild. I'm not breaking any news here. We're picking on the Sharks and continue to pick on them. I think I put them in this morning. It's a little juicy, minus 145, I think I had. Yeah, Caesars minus 145 to win on the puck line. It does sound like Joel Eriksson Ek will return tonight. So I think that top line with him, Matt Boldy, and Kaprizov, if that's the line, we'll keep an eye on it, maybe closer to puck drop. If that's the trio, the same game parlay for those 3 guys for a point and for 2 points is certainly in play. And then one of my favorite bets tonight will be Kaprizov for 2 points at plus 125. That's over at BetMGM for Kirill the Thrill dollar bill Kaprizov. And if you are going to pick a shark, Zetterlund still checked a lot of boxes for me the other night, even though it wasn't a great night for him. But he's just seems to, when he's on the ice, things are happening for him.
That's right.
And for San Jose.
Yeah, I got Zetterlund, and I'm going Eklund too. He when he gets the puck, he reminds me of Evangelista, or like a lesser version of Patrick Kane, like just a slick skater, really good at holding on to the puck. Small guy, but just no one could seem to touch him. Look, man, it's ugly in San Jose, but you got to pick somebody because that's what we do. But if someone's going to score, it's going to be Zetterlund 250 or Eklund, I think at 390, which I love. Both of those guys playing on the top power play, so that's a positive. Minnesota, Kaprizov plus 100, Stallion, just the Russian Stallion, and I'm gonna go Hartman as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think just like what we said with Dallas, like there's opportunities here to do some fun things. Take guys to maybe score 2 goals or a little small sprinkle and a hat trick, or maybe, Ryan Hartman to score a goal, or Matt Zuccarello to pick up an assist. Wow, his assist prop is minus 165. Never mind. 2 points plus 180. It's a little steep, but I'd say I've been doing some shot ladders against San Jose. I'll be honest, I haven't hit the past couple, but the process has been right. I think we picked Marchessault and it was Eichel. The other night picked Wyatt Johnson and it was Jason Robertson. I think maybe it's Matt Boldy tonight. He's a volume shooter. He's a volume shooter on that power play. The Sharks just give up so much, and their penalty kill is not good, and they take a lot of penalties. So maybe, Kaprizov is obvious, but the odds are better with Boldy. For 4 shots plus 125, 5 shots plus 290. For 6 shots, 6-1, which I do like. And then 7 shots is plus 950. So maybe a shot prop ladder with Matt Boldy here tonight against San Jose. Bordelow's been great. I streamed him the other day.
That's a great call.
Pick shot prop. He scored a couple goals the other night, getting an opportunity, power play time, and things like that.
Yep.
Okay. Moving right along. Wild win the game. Calgary and St. Louis. This is a big one. I think the West is pretty much set in my opinion, but whoever loses this game is definitely toast. What you got?
I got Kadri at 195 and Sharon Govich at 220. St. Louis side, I'm going Kyrou at 190 and Buchnevich at 210. Buchnevich has looked awesome for the last month. When you watch St. Louis, and you can see like he just doesn't. It feels like he doesn't come off the ice. He's playing in every situation, which is positive. So I really like him.
Yeah, he had 7 shots there the other night in the game. I don't think he hit the score sheet, but he was really, really noticeable in that game. The Blues have kind of juggled some of their lines around. And this is another team you got to really keep an eye on what they do. Neighbors up at that top line with Thomas and Buchnevich is pretty appealing to me, just because obviously playing with those 2 studs, he's been okay as well. He is plus 114 to pick up a point. So that's the one play that I like from this game. Other than that, like, just move on. I don't really care. Neither team to make the playoffs, right?
No. Let's go.
LA and Edmonton. These 2 teams know each other very well. They've played in the playoffs in each of the last 2 seasons. Like potentially
might play
again this year. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
I know that's why they were aggressive getting Dubois. They're just like, listen, we got to go 3 deep down the middle against the Oilers. We got to get through this team. One thing I'll say off the hop here is actually I'll let you go, and you got a couple plays.
Yeah, Edmonton, McDavid, and Draisaitl. McDavid is plus 125, so I like that. Draisaitl plus 135. On the LA side, Kempe, he's the shooter. He hasn't scored like he did last year, but that's the guy that they want shooting the puck, and for good reason. He can fire it. So I like that at 230, and I'm going Victor Arvidsson at 350.
Nice. I actually like the Kings to win the game. I think they look. I just feel like they're finding their footing again. You know what I mean? Like they've won 4 straight. Kopitar's got multi-point games in each one of those wins. A couple of them have come against Chicago. I mean, they lost to Dallas 4-1, and then they beat Chicago before that and beat Chicago after, but they beat Tampa, they beat Vancouver, they beat Minnesota, they've beaten the Canucks twice this month in Vancouver, I think, both times. February 29th, 5-1, and then they're coming off the 3-2 win. I just really like where their game's at right now after what was a lull there for about 6 weeks in their game. And you mentioned Kempe, the shooter. So I think Kempe, I don't know if I'll do a ladder. I'm probably not interested in it, but his shot prop is a little bit juiced. I put it in this morning at minus 157 at Bet River. So that's another guy that maybe you can just include into a shot prop parlay. We talked about Chikrin being juicy. We talked about Forsberg being juicy. And get this, the last few games for Kempe against Edmonton, these are regular season games, the shots, 7, 4, 4, 1, 5, 8, 2, 5, and 7. In the 6-game playoff against the Oilers last year, 7, 4, 3, 5, 4, and 8. In the 7-game playoff against Edmonton 2 years ago, 3, 3, 9, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So he is cleared in 13 straight games. I don't know what it is against the Oilers. He is a shooter. We know that. But for whatever reason, I mean, he is getting pucks through against this Oilers team. 13 straight playoff games where he's cleared 2.5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his last 9 regular season games. So quick math, that's 14, 20 of his last 23 games. He's had at least 3 shots against Edmonton. I think he scores tonight. I think the Kings win the game. I like the same game parlay for Kempe and Kopitar. I do have McDavid for 2 points. Still get 2 points and still get the Kings win. But at minus 125 for McDavid, it's an automatic bet for me all the time. All the time. Moving right along. Oh, another good one here. What do you got in the Rangers and the Avs game?
Yeah, this should be good too. I'm going to go Panarin at 130 and Kreider at plus 200. Both of them have been good all year. Panarin is he's so good, man. I say it every time, but I could watch him play hockey all day. On Colorado side, McKinnon at negative 115, probably going to win the MVP. Man, what a player. Love watching him. He's a beast, right? When he skates, like that skating style, it's like he's skating pissed off, and I love it.
Yeah, he stick handles the same way. It's like, man, just putting chips in the ice is hard. I can hear him.
Yes,
I can hear him watching on the couch.
Yeah,
him stick handle up and down the ice.
Yeah, that's when you know you're on an insane level. Like you don't even have to be here looking at the screen. You can hear, the skating and the stick handling. And McKinnon's got the puck. We're on a level, and I'm proud of it. I don't care. I love it. McKinnon and Rantanen at negative 105.
So I think the Avs are going to. Yeah, I think the Avs. There's one thing for them. It kind of even feels silly to say like, oh, they're pissed off from the loss against the Habs, but they probably are. Like McKinnon is so competitive that he probably ripped out. He's heard so many stories about McKinnon, like about his diet and what other people in his dressing room should be eating and should not be eating. And his buddy Duran, like who was, I loved hearing the other day when Duran had the overtime goal, and he said immediately, when the season was over for him in Montreal, he called up Duran. He talked about how Duran could have gotten a little bit more money elsewhere, basically took a minimum contract to come play with a guy that he lit it up with the Halifax Mooseheads. And he was just so happy with him. But I've also heard reports out of Colorado at times where he's been quiet, and McKinnon is not afraid to say, hey, listen, this is not how we play hockey here. You need to pick it up. Like forget points in 8 straight or wins in 8 straight. Like, let's go here. So like, that's the kind of animal that McKinnon is. Rangers clinched a playoff spot the other day. Maybe they're not feeling themselves. I know it's still an important game, and they're still chasing down, like at the top spot in the Metro, and they want that. Avs coming off a loss, and a tough loss, an embarrassing one, still being at home, getting a Rangers team that maybe, talking about partying, maybe they had a couple pops after they clinched a playoff spot here pretty early. McKinnon, I know he burned us, but I still want to go back to him, guys. Plus 100 for 5 shots and minus 125 for 2 points. He's had a point in every single game at home this season as he chases down Gretzky's 40 games, I think, at home to start. Crazy. It's March 28th, and he's had a point in every home game. I think it's like 35. Like, Wow, like that's impressive. That's so impressive to me. You
It's
just
insane.
have like no off nights. No off nights.
It's insane.
Like I guess his off night was the
Especially
other night
today's
against the Habs, but he still scored 20 seconds into the game.
Yep.
Like he set the tone for his team, and they just didn't do anything after that. I like the Avs. I got McKinnon for 2 points. I got McKinnon for 5 shots. Panarin came through for us the other day for 2 points. I don't love it as much. They gave Georgiev the night off. He's plus 130 for 2 points. So I may shy away from that one. But what I will say is Alexis Lafreniere with Panarin plus money for a point is pretty decent odds there. Last game of the night, we already did Dallas and Vancouver, Nashville and Arizona, is between the Kraken and the Anaheim Ducks. Well, you know what? The Kraken woke up in the last game. I thought that maybe they would. Like
a little too late.
The Ducks are just so brutal. Yep. Anyways, the Kraken had lost 7 or 8 games in a row. They haven't been scoring any goals. They broke out with 4 goals against Seattle against Anaheim in that game. And the guys, I think you called him Matty Bernier's goal. I think we talked about Eberle and Jared McCann, and they were all pretty good. Like Eberle had a goal, 3 shots. McCann had an assist, 3 shots. And Matty Beniers had a goal and 3 points and 2 shots. I would just go back to that line again tonight.
Yeah,
I mean, they're going to get the same matchups.
Not a massive, tooting my own whistle or whatever you want to call it, but I think I had 24 goal scorers on Tuesday. Like,
wow.
Matthews and Ovi were the reasons that we didn't hit the 8-way parlay, of course.
Go figure. Like, those two.
Right, go figure. Yeah, 2 of the most epic goals.
It's like Matthews didn't try it, like 15 shot attempts.
Brutal, man. Brutal. We're going to get one of those to go one of these days. Terry and Vetrano on the Anaheim side, and I'm going Jared McCann and Jordan Eberle.
Bet Kempe most shots on goal FanDuel. Is that a thing that a special they're doing? Whoever has the most shots of the night or something? I don't know what that's all about. I agree. This one always. Po Buddy's Nerfic always. It's tough for me to say, so I respect the name. I agree. It's really hard to. I agree. I don't want to lay minus 200 on the Kraken to win the game, but they should win the game, and minus 140 and 60 is okay. But yeah, it's not. There's 14 games. There's much better spots. We're not totally into this game, but I will say they got that line still together tonight. So let me check quick time here. No, they've juggled things around a little bit. Tolvanen and Bjorkstrand with Matty Bernier. It's a little too late for the line juggling. But I would say without even looking that Matty Berniers is probably a decent price to pick up a point. He's minus 130. That's a pretty good bet.
Yep.
Minus 130. Hit the score sheet tonight against the Ducks at home. Just had a good game against them. They're going to have the last change and things like that. Jake Allen had one of those games. I mean, go look at the game log. I mean, he did have one of those games, but he's been fantastic since the Devils acquired him. But yeah, he definitely ruined your 8-leg maniac parlay because Matthew should have probably had 4 or 5 goals in that game. All right, 14 games. Holy crap, we've done it. For me, for sides here, I'll do a couple sides before I toss things over to you for some goal scorers. Then we'll ship it back over to me for a couple point props here tonight. So I'm on the Preds, right? I'm just gonna ride this thing out with Nashville. Been riding it out. The line does seem a little bit fishy. I personally have spent a little bit on the juice at the minus 160-ish for them on the money line. That price is probably, it's gone in most spots. Minus 105, it does feel like potentially it could be one of those games that goes to overtime. That's why I did the money line thing. But minus 105 for them to win in 60, I think is a pretty decent play, just considering where they're at right now. I like the Dallas Stars on the money line to go into Vancouver to pick up a victory. I like the Philadelphia Flyers against the Canadians to go into Montreal and pick up a victory. I like the Kings as a dog here tonight at plus 130 almost to go into Edmonton and pick up a win. I got Minnesota on the puck line. I also like Carolina in 60 in regulation. It is a little bit juiced at minus 150. I think Bet365 is a good place to do the in 60 and money line plays, because if they get up early by 3 goals, it's just an automatic win. And we've seen teams come back from 3 goals all the time. And then I do believe that the Kraken will win in 60 as well. So we'll throw it over to you for some goal scorers there, and then we'll come back over with a couple props.
We had a couple 2-3 here, 14 games, boys. Buckle up. Ovi, Strome, Matthews, Nylander, Jenner, Marashenko, Crosby, Bunting, Konechny, Farabee, Caulfield, Newhook, Nelson, Horvat, Reinhart, Kachuk, Bedard, Foligno, Kachuk, Stützle, Larkin, Kane, Aho, Gensel, Kadri, Sharangovich, Kyrou, Buchnevich, Eichel, Stevenson, Connor, Monahan, Zetterlund, Eklund, Kaprizov, Hartman, Panarin, Kreider, McKinnon, Rantanen, Kempe, Arvidsson, McDavid, Draisaitl, Robertson, Ben, Pedersen, Miller, Terry, Vetrano, McCann, Eberle, Forsberg, Evangelista, Keller, and Gunther. The 8-way Maniac Parlay goes as follows.
Here we go.
Ovi, Matthews, you bastards. Crosby, Reinhart, Bedard, Larkin, Eichel, and Kaprizov. And I got an interesting one here with high odds. Evangelista, Troy Terry, Jamie Benn, and Victor Arvidsson. It gives you, let me start. I put in earlier this morning. It gives you plus 27, 278. So $1 makes it 273. Evangelista, I think he's going to score tonight. I really have a gut feeling on it. Troy Terry is the best shooter, or one of the best shooters on Anaheim, playing on the top power play, playing on the top line. Jamie Benn, we talked about him, and Victor Arvidsson scored last game. He's feeling it, and he's playing on the top power play. Let's go.
Let's go. And that's some list. And we're going to hit that 8-leg one here tonight. Pretty cool. Didn't know this about FanDuel. For each individual game, you can bet who has the most shots on goal in that game. I don't know the odds, but I would imagine that is pretty high in a game where you'd have Hyman and Draisaitl and McDavid in there as well. So I think it's a pretty good stab, just given the track record. And it's a pretty large sample size of Adrian Kempe, where the teams have been very similar over the past couple of seasons, and potentially a third straight playoff matchup in the opening round for those two squads. I'd like to see the Kings go against somebody else, especially for somebody that has a 45-1 Stanley Cup future on them. I wouldn't mind them playing someone else, but at the same time, like, who else? You're going to have to play Colorado, Winnipeg. Like, there's so many good teams in the West, man. I think the path in the West is a little tougher. Nashville playing to get just a point is concerning. I don't know. I'd say that they're playing to get a couple, but they have had a couple overtime losses lately. So that is why I went with the money line. I felt like maybe it was a game that could go to overtime, but I still think the minus 105 and 60 is not bad if you can't get the minus 160-ish money line play from last night over. I think it was at FanDuel. Okay, on the way out here, just going to keep things a little bit shorter in terms of my props. Nyquist minus 135 for a point, right? I just don't understand the value there that we're getting. I think Jason Zucker, he's not one of my favorites, but Zucker for plus 125 for 3 shots, right? It's something he's doing pretty consistently. Forget the revenge narrative. The matchup is nice, and he is shooting the puck. I got William Nylander for 4 shots. I got Max Domi for a point. It is one that I already bet. I would say maybe wait it out to see the status of Austin Matthews. I think that's for me, that's very important. I didn't give Toronto money line when I just talked. I do like them on the money line, but again, one, maybe you can wait out to see the status of Matthews. Matthews plays. We like Domi. Jamie Benn, let's continue to ride this one out too. Plus 100 for a point. Wyatt Johnson minus 105 for a point. My goodness, these are two of the hottest players going right now. I got Wyatt Johnson for 3 shots and Jason Robertson for 3 shots in that Dallas win. Owen Tippett for 4 shots. I got Slavkovsky for a point, 7-game point streak here tonight. Continuing to move on. Crosby 2-point night, plus 160. Crosby for 4 shots at plus 105. I like the Crosby and Rust same game parlay. I got Pinto for a point at minus 120. Jacob Chikrin for 3 shots. A little bit juicy. Put him in there with Philip Forsberg for 4 shots. Ottawa top line tonight. Maybe they don't hit 40-1 last night for 2 points. Plus 225 for 1 point. It's the Blackhawks. They've scored 16 goals in their last 3 games. I know they've been having a really bad season, but lately they've been playing better. Kachuk, Batherson, Pinto, points plus 225, 2 points, 31. Eichel 4 shots, Marchessault point minus 135, Theodore point minus 105. Got Kaprizov at plus 125 for a 2-point night. Going to ladder Matt Boldy for shots. I think he scores. Neighbors for a point. Kempe 3 shots. McDavid 2 points. Matty Beniers for a point. So there's a lot there. I have the article with my 4 favorite plays over at ftnbets.com for you guys to check out. I would say that I want you to check it out, but I would say that Pinto's going to be in there. Kaprizov's going to be in there. Nyquist. I always put Nyquist, so it's like I want to give someone else because I'm sick of. I feel like maybe I'm annoying people with Nyquist. Like I'm not. Got to read the article again. I'm looking for you to talk about a different player, but he keeps picking up points, and the price is good. Chicago is 10-0 in their last 10 games against Ottawa. Not gonna lie, TJ, I didn't know that. Not picking the Senators to win the game, just picking some of their players to pick up some points. That's it. Interesting statistic there. Blackhawks on Thursday on the road managed to score only 1 goal, only once this season. Yeah, more than 1 goal. Yeah, I mean, Hawks are bad. We're not picking the Sens to win the hockey game, but we're picking Pinto and company to pick up some points. All right, guys. Good luck on the ice. Enjoy opening day, Major League Baseball. We're running promo code FTN March for 35% off all picks across all sports from everybody. Discord channel split up into all the sports, projections, tools. It's all there for you over at ftnbets.com. If you're looking for a DFS package, we have articles every day. ftndaily.com/pricing, promo code March 35 for 35% off. Appreciate all you guys. Keep smashing them, bro. I love Nyquist. We're big Nyquist fans here. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to look for some winners. So it's all right, I think, to go back to the well. NHL is pretty streaky when it comes to goal scorers, but 60 points in your last 62 games, it's pretty good. All right, EY, enjoy. Talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys. Peace.